That city seeing its second deadly shooting involving federal personnel in less than 3 weeks. The Department of Homeland Security is leading the investigation to learn more about this shooting. Here with us now, Jennifer Coffindaffer, NewsNation law and justice contributor and former FBI special agent. Welcome back, Jennifer. Always good to see you.
Good morning. Good to see you.
This shooting happened at a public protest. What will investigators want to hear from witnesses who are on the scene? We know there were many observers, many people pulled out their phones.
Well, there are many observers, and there's also all of the individuals that were involved in this shooting, meaning these Border Patrol ICE agents. This is the situation. The body-worn camera that they will and should have had on is going to be very significant. We've seen a lot of these videos, but that BWC is going to be critical. It has no political agenda. It doesn't have anything to influence it, and that is one of the number one pieces of evidence law enforcement is going to be looking at.
Jennifer, from your law enforcement perspective, what are the biggest questions you have right now from the videos we have seen?
The biggest questions I have is what actually promulgated this initial shot? Who shot it? That is what's going to be critical to determine. But at the end of the day, Hena, it's Graham versus O'Connor. That is the legal antidote that they must follow to decide whether this was a justified shooting. What does that say? It says, would a reasonable person shoot under these circumstances? That's the litmus test, Hannah.
You've spoken about the need for more video evidence, more body cam footage that we will hopefully, or investigators will hopefully see sooner than later. How crucial would those videos be for investigators?
Well, they're so crucial because not only can you see, but you can also hear. There will be audio. You will be able to understand what words were said by both the agents and by Mr. Preddy. And I do want to say at this point, my heart goes out to the family. No law enforcement officer ever wants to take a life, ever. But if they feel like their life is in jeopardy, they are going to take the measures necessary to stop that threat.
The Department of Homeland Security says Preddy approached them with a handgun, resisted when federal officers tried to disarm him. Please explain to me the importance of these details and the circumstances as this investigation moves forward.
Well, it's really important to understand, resist. In other words, was he obeying commands? Was he approaching them while they were trying to do their mission? At the end of the day, you cannot get in the way of and obstruct a federal officer trying to make an arrest.
Family members of Alex Preddy, they put out a statement almost immediately after his death, disputing the government's version of events. They say, in part, Preddy was, quote, clearly not holding a gun. With that said, hearing their side, what will the investigators be looking for as they try to piece together what happened with so many different angles and perspectives?
Well, part of the thing they're going to be looking at is his digital footprint. What did he say about why he brought that gun? If you look at this gun, this is a 9mm Sig Sauer, and it had a laser sight attached to it, and he had an extra magazine. Why in the world would you bring such a weapon to a protest? That makes very little sense.
The Minnesota National Guard has been activated. They're assisting local police. What does that mean for the investigation and for the city?
Well, when you look at this, Hena, it's ratcheting up, right? And the United States government feels that they have to back their officers and their law enforcement actions. Can you imagine, Hena, if all of a sudden we said, okay, we're going to just back away and do nothing? What does that mean for future operations of ICE, the FBI, and other law enforcement agencies when they're just trying to serve warrants against individuals who have committed illegal actions?
Jennifer, it was just 2 weeks ago that we were talking about another deadly shooting in Minneapolis involving federal personnel. We're seeing clearly a lack of trust between residents, local officials, federal officials. What needs to happen next in this community? How can you quell the tensions?
Well, in my opinion, unfortunately, this has just become so political, Hena. I mean, depending on what your lens is, whether you have a Democratic posture, a Republican posture, that is where you side with this. And there has to be some unity in these parties. This is ridiculous what is happening when you're talking about law enforcement just trying to do a job. At the end of the day, law enforcement does not make one law. They strictly enforce the laws that are put on their desks to enforce.
Yeah, but I believe that no matter what side you're on, and I'm sure you agree with me here, that video is just so hard to watch. It's really a tragedy.
It is, Hena. It's heartbreaking to see these altercations under these circumstances.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.